Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with a highly requested video, which is how to use nail forms or how to build a nail. So the only reason why I use nail tips is because I learned to do nails with tips. Now there's a lot of people out there that learn how to do nails with forms, so that's just what they stick to, or what they stick to, to using. So for me, I learned doing nails with tips, so it was just always easier for me to just use tips. Like, that's all I knew at first. The only reason why I've used forms was for a competition. We had to build on nails on one hand, and then we could use tips on the other hand. So I had to learn how to do the build on pink and white nails, which is the white small line or the white tip with the pink at the back. So that's the only time I ever use nail forms. Now I do have like one client that gets really long nails and my tips aren't long enough for her, so I was having to use forms on her, but I think after a while she started getting tips. So I rarely ever use them. The only other time that I use them is if somebody breaks a nail. Sometimes it's easier to just go in and build a nail than to have to take off all the acrylic, especially like if I'm not in a rush, if I don't have anybody after them, then fine, I'll take the acrylic off, don't have a problem with it. But if I'm like short on time, then I'll build it on, and it's the same thing. It's still gonna last long, it's just no tip. So anyways, these are the forms that I have these gold ones, if you can see them. I'm not sure what brand are they. Tammy Taylor, I'm not sure what brand they are actually, but I have these, and then I have these from eBay. I got both of them from eBay. So the only difference between them is these are a little bit more sturdy, they're thicker, and then these pink ones are a little bit thinner, and they're more flimsy. Let's see if I can take one out. So I've never actually even used, well, I've used these before, but not this pack. So you're not gonna be able to tell, but the gold ones are a little bit thicker than these. These are kind of almost see-through, and then this ones are a little bit more sturdy. So whenever you're applying forms, you have to, there's all type of different forms as far as like how they're shaped in the middle, because that's where how would I say, that's basically what fits your client's nail. So some clients naturally have square nails, some clients naturally have rounded, almond, all type of shaped nails. So you have to find forms that are good for their shape. So usually these that look like this kind of fit everybody, but like I said, there's some that have square nails, so you have to find forms that are a little bit more square. Like instead of it being round right there, it would be square. So the only ones I've ever used was like Tammy Taylor and OPI, and I know Tammy Taylor has some that fit every different nail shape, because I know they have the round ones, the squared ones, and then the ones, I think these that usually fit anybody. And then sometimes you might even have one client that you have to use like a regular one and maybe a squared one for another nail, or just whatever. So if you do want to do like all build on nails and no tips, you are going to have different forms, not just one kind, because like I said, you never know what shape your client's hand is going to be. So the way to use these, I'm going to demonstrate it on my nail trainer, but for now I'm just going to show you how you basically use them. So what you do with these, you grab them from the sides, from right here, and you hold it with your thumb and your index finger, or at least this is how I do it. There's a million ways to do it. People have their different ways of doing it, but this is how I do it. Once again, I rarely ever use forms, so if something's not correct, if I'm doing something a little bit different, that's just how I do it. So I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, this is just how I do it. So once again, I grab the form, like the side of the forms, with my thumbs and the inside of my index finger, and then I just wiggle it around a little bit, and that's just to give it a C curve, because as you can see, they come flat. They come like this, they're flat. So you want to give it that little wiggle to give it that C curve right there, because as you know, our nails are curved underneath, so you want it to kind of shape it into the shape of your nail. After that, you just want to hold it with the same, you turn it around, you turn it this way, you want the front of the form to face you. So I just wiggle it around, and then you would just slide it under your client's nail. So I'm going to show you on my nail, but it's going to be a little bit hard. So you just hold it and place it right under the nail. You want to make sure that it's right in the middle. So you want to be careful when you're doing this. Like, watch what you're doing. The forms do have lines on them, if you can kind of tell. There you go. And they have numbers. The numbers are basically the length, so that just gives you a guide on like what number. So like if you have it on your client's nail, you want to say like, hey, you know, what size or what length do you want your nail, and then you know they can use the numbers as references. Also, like if you do a number 1 on the index finger, then you know that the rest of the fingers will have to be a number 1. So it's just like a little guide. But anyways, yeah, I'm so out of breath. But you hold the you would hold the form with, you know, your 2 hands, and you would just slide it under there. But since I'm doing it on myself, it's gonna be a little bit difficult. But you literally just place it under their nail, and then you make sure that these two little wings stick together, and you want to make sure that they're even on there. Let me see. I think I kind of did it. So this is what it looks on my finger. Usually I try to keep these to where they're touching my skin or my finger. And then you also don't want to squish it, or is that how you say it? You don't want to press it down. It just depends on what shape you want. So like if you want stiletto nails, then you would basically like make it stick to where it makes that point. If you can see it, y'all, this light is so bright. So you can see, can you see it? Okay, so, and sorry, see, it's hard to do it on myself, but like I said, I'm going to demonstrate it on my nail trainer, but I'm trying to do it. So, oh yeah, another thing that I forgot to mention, like, so these little things, on some of them, like these that are really, really thin, you can use the back of them, which is, or the little piece, or whatever it's called, the little centerpiece, and put it on the back of the form. You put it on the back of the form, and that just gives it a little bit more stability. Now with this gold one, I don't do that because they're already, you know, thick enough. And if I do this, if I stick this on the back of it, it's going to make it even stiffer. So I don't do this with the gold ones, only with the ones that are really thin. Yeah, I don't know why I'm so out of freaking breath. So once again, I hold them with my thumb and my index finger, wiggle it around to make it have that C curve, and then you hold it with your hands and just slide it under their nail. Once again, I'm going to do it on my nail. So you make sure that it is lined up, and a lot of the time they have the little like rip in the middle where you can just tear it up, and sometimes it makes it a little bit more easier to do that. So slide it under their nail. Yeah, and it's so difficult to do it on my own. This is gonna be so hard. Okay, I'm gonna do it on the other hand. And it's easier when you're doing it on somebody else. Yeah, this is not gonna work. But basically, you can do it like this. You don't have to rip this off unless you need to, because maybe their finger is a little bit wider or something. But that's basically what it would look like. So I'm going to show you on my hand trainer, and then you get a better idea of how it goes. So let's just keep watching. Alrighty, y'all, so for this I'll be using my Pana nail trainer, which has been sold out for quite a while now. But I think you can find it, I don't know, just go on like Google and type in nail trainer, and I'm sure you can find it, but it's been sold out for a while on eBay. But I'm going to use my little small little nail tips. I'm just going to do 2. So I'm going to get the other fingers out of the way. And when you're doing this, you prep the nail the same way. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these down, because you would do this on short nails. So I cut that down with my tip cutter, and then I'm going to go in with my hand file, and I'm just going to shape up their nail. So I'm just going to kind of round it off. You want to make sure that they have a free edge, because the nail form will go under their free edge. And then same thing, you would you prep their nail, so we're removing the shine from their natural nail. Also, you want to make sure that you push their cuticles back. So same thing as the acrylic process, or as if you're using tips, except for we're using nail forms, but it's still the same process. Alrighty, so I'm gonna dust that off, and I'm gonna be using both forms, the gold one and the pink one. So once again, we're gonna be using the pink ones and the gold ones. I'm gonna stick that on the back of the nail, and then we're gonna use our pinkies, or sorry, our thumbs and our index finger and hold it, wiggle it around to make that C curve, and then we're gonna slide it under their nail. Make sure that it's nice and even, and that's right in the middle of their nail. We're gonna fold it down, make sure it stick to the sides, and then we're gonna stick the little pieces underneath together. And these hand trainers do have really wide fingers, so the nail is gonna be pretty wide. So that's how you do it. Same thing with the other one. Remember, except for these, it is a little bit more sturdy, so I don't have to use the back piece. But same thing, you wiggle it around. Make sure that their finger is nice and straight, and then just slide it under their nail. Make sure that it's right in between the lines. Fold it down and stick the wings down like that. So now if we were to do a stiletto nail, that's what I was trying to say. If you were doing a stiletto nail, you would like press this down a little bit more to where it's giving you that stiletto shape. But if you want to just square it or coffin, you can just keep it, you know, like that. And as you can see, there's a hole in here, so that way it's not too narrow. And with this one, we kind of, oops, sorry, these are a little bit hard to stick on. And with this one, we close the little gap because we want it to be more stiletto shape. So as far as the acrylic process is really the same thing, except for once again, you're having to basically make your own tip instead of having one. So I'm going to be using my Mia Secret acrylic system, which is what I always use. Okay, so if this was a real person, of course you would do a primer. Sorry, I'm gonna change this one out because it doesn't want to stick. So I'm gonna do another one of the pink ones. So same thing, stick the little paper on the back, wiggle it around, place it right under their free edge, and make sure that it's nice and even at the bottom. And then we're gonna make this one stiletto, so we're gonna make it close a little bit. Like I said, it is a little bit harder because the nail trainer's fingers are so wide, so it won't stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the primer. You just apply this to their natural nail. Alrighty, so same thing, we're using our Mia Secret acrylic system. The first thing you want to do is dip your brush into the liquid. Let me make sure you can see. Dip it into the liquid, then wipe it off, and then dip it into your powder, and I just drag my brush. Let it sit for a second, and then I'm gonna set it down right at the tip, and make sure you pat it down to where you're making it into the shape that you want. Make sure you keep pushing that acrylic over to the sides. And if you are using acrylic and it's too runny, or you're using too much liquid, it will be a hot mess because the acrylic is going to be running all to the side of your forms. That's why you want to keep pushing it up towards the actual nail. And then you just shape it however you want. If I want, I can make it into a stiletto nail, into a coffin, into a square, but I think I'm just going to do a long coffin. You brush real gently. And make sure that you're doing it at the width of the same nail. You don't want to have acrylic all the way on this side. You want to make sure that you line it up with their natural nail. And then you just make sure you go back in and line it up, push it up with your brush, and then do the free edge. Now the free edge, you don't have to worry about too much because you could always file it off or file it down or into whatever shape that you want. So you want to make sure that you focus more on the sides and push it up. Second bead I'm going to place right in the middle. Brush it down again towards the tip. Okay, so now I'm going to place another bead. I'm going to do this one a little bit closer to that cuticle area. Brushing it down towards the tip again. Remember to clean around that cuticle area really good. You want to make sure you look at your nail from different angles. Right now I'm seeing that the nail is kind of flipping up a little bit, but that's just, like I said, it's kind of hard to do it on this trainer. I'm going to do another one to make sure that I create a good apex, but once again it is a little bit hard to do that with these nail trainers because the nails are so flat on here. So I'm just going to do what I can. Okay, so that is what that looks like. We're going to let that one dry, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this one, except for this one I'm going to do a pink and white. Okay, so I'm going to use this is the first one that I've seen, so I'm going to use my white glow-in-the-dark powder. Okay, so I dip my brush into the liquid, wipe it off, dip it into my powder, get my bead, and I'm going to set it right in the middle. And for this one I'm going to be doing a French tip, so I'm not going to even make it long. But remember, push up your acrylic so it don't start running everywhere. And with this one, I'm kind of pushing it up on the sides because I want it to be a nice small line there. So make sure you go in and do your small line as soon as you start, because some acrylics dry faster than others, and a lot of the time if you don't get that small line done right away, your acrylic will dry and then you can't go back and fix your small line. You can always go back and file the sides down and your free edge, but you will never be able to go back and fix your small line. So after we have a nice small line, and whenever I do my small line, I swipe from one side to the other. And then also another thing that I want to mention is you do want to go in and pinch the nail, because if not, it's going to be really flat up here. So we use the inside of our thumbs and we just pinch the nail. That way it has a nice arch, or sorry, a nice C curve at the tip. You know, we don't just want flat nails at the tip. We want it to have a nice C curve. So we use the inside of our thumbs, which is our fingernails, and we just pinch it. They do have some pinching tools, but like I said, I don't do this enough to even invest in one, which they're not expensive, but I just don't need one. Okay, so I'm looking at my nail and I see that there's a little bitty dent in there, so I'm gonna go back with a little bit more white just to fix that. I'm going to go back around my small line. Now the way that I've learned how to do the French tip white and pink and white acrylics is because this is what we had to do for skills. So I probably did that like a million times. So now I'm going to go in with my Mia Secret pink. I'm going to place that bead right in the center and I'm brushing that towards the tip. I'm going to do another bead right behind that one. Brush it towards the tip. So once again, this is only the way that I do it. There's a million ways to do stuff, but this is how I do it. So I hope it's a little bit helpful at least. Like I said, I don't do this often at all, so I might be doing something wrong, who knows. Okay, so I did 4 balls, so that's what it looks like. So once again, it's the same process except for you're having to build your own tip. So the way to know if it's dry is by tapping the acrylic with your brush or with your nail file, and if it does a clicking sound, then that means it's dry. If I was to hit this one, it's not going to make a clicking noise because it's not dry all the way. So as you can see, you hear a clicking noise. Now you don't, because this one's not dry and this one is. So you're going to go ahead and take the form off. The way to do that is just undo it at the bottom and then just slide it off. So that is what it looks like right now. As you can see, it's pretty rough. So I'm going to go in with my nail file first and just shape the nail.
You want to make sure that you file against her nail grooves or their nail grooves to make sure that your nail tip is not too worn. Afterwards, I'm going in and shaping her nail tip to make sure that it's nice and straight. As you guys know, I follow the nail tip at a 90 degrees angle to make sure that we have a really, really straight tip.
Alrighty, so now I'm going to use my hand file to just file the whole nail. As you can see, it is nice and smooth. I don't have any bumps or lumps, but it did flip up a little bit at the tip. So I'm going to kind of file that down, and I'll show you how it's a little bit, I don't know if it'll focus. It's a little bit thick. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit thicker on that side. So I'm going to go back and file it down. Oops, I broke her nail off. Okay, it's back on. So I'm just gonna file it down, and as you can see, I'm not really just filing that part, I'm filing more on the tip. So all the pressure is going on the tip, not the rest of the nail, because I want to get rid of that thickness on the tip, not anywhere else. Alrighty, so as you guys can see, I don't have a good apex, only because, like I said, it's a little bit harder to do an apex on the nail trainer, but I have a pretty nice C curve, as you can see. And remember, the way to do the C curve is to pinch the nail, and I actually forgot to pinch this one, and it's a little bit too late now, but you Alrighty, so as you can see, we don't have a really good apex because it is a little bit harder to do it on these because the nail is so flat. But we do have a nice arch, or sorry, not arch, but a nice C curve. And remember, the way to get your C curve is to pinch the nail with the inside of your thumbs. And I actually forgot to pinch this one, so you would definitely be able to tell the difference between pinching a nail and not pinching it. So this one is dry. As you can see, we can hear the clicking noise, so I'm going to go ahead and take the form off. Same thing, the sides look a little bit rough, so we're going to go in and just shape the nail. Alrighty, so we have a pretty nice shape. So now I'm going to go in with a buffer and buff both of the nails. Remember, as you guys know, we use the regular hand file, so it is going to be a lot more scratches on the nail as if we use the nail drill, where there won't be as many scratches. So we just have to buff our life away. Okay, so I buffed them a little bit. Now I'm gonna go in with my top coat. So of course you can do a color or you can do just the top coat, but I'm just gonna do a top coat for now so you guys can see what they turned out to look like. So once again, this was the pink and white build on nail, and then this was just a regular build on nail. So I'm gonna cure both of them. Alrighty, so we cured both of the nails. Now I'm gonna go in and just wipe off the bottom of this one because there is dust under there. But as you can see, it's pretty translucent. Once again, that was the Mia Secret pink. Once again, that was a Mia Secret pink acrylic, and then this is the pink and white build on nail, or both are build on nails. But here I'll take them off. So as you can see, this is the difference between pinching and not pinching a nail. This one's a little bit, it still has a little bit of a C curve, but not much at all. And then that one has a more deeper C curve. So that was that. So I hope this video was a little bit helpful. Once again, we use two, or at least I used one type of nail form, but I showed you how to use both of them, which is pretty much the same thing. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at GetNail32. And I'll see you guys in my next video.